All right, boys, we've made it to the water. This will just be a quick, just sort of instructional video about just how different things in the boat work, just so you have a slightly better idea of what we're working with come the water, so that we can hit it as soon as we get there and we can save some time, because each practice will be very valuable. So as you can see here, I've just got sort of a mock setup of what a boat would look like. Right now I just have one oar. But in the boats that we'll be rowing in, there'll be predominantly 8 oars, so 8 people in a boat, and it'll be alternating, one on one side and then one on another side. So this is a port setup, but just imagine there'll be there'll be another person front and behind who have an oar going that way, and that's to propel them propel the boat in a straight line. So as you can see, the boat will have a sliding seat, and there will be a metal thing extending out from the boat that will hold your oar. As you can see, the oar is very long, and that's going to get better leverage. All right, so the coaches will go over the different terminology, and I might go over that as well later on. But basically, the way you hold the oar, I'll just briefly show, is so sitting at the finish, you'll have your outside hand. The outside hand is the one furthest on the end of the oar, and the inside hand is the one closer to the blade. The blade is the part that actually goes in the water, the one with the paint, the part with the paint on it. So your outside hand. Now the key to remember when we're rowing in the water is that with sweep rowing, it is not symmetrical. We've been erging in a very linear plane where we try to be very symmetrical. Rowing in the boats that we will be doing is not symmetrical. So in this case, port side, if your oar is sticking out there, you are actually going to be leaning a bit, because we're trying to create leverage around this pin. Think about it as like an axle, and we're trying to rotate to move the boat past that. If you think about it, rowing is all about levers, right? You're trying to lock the tip of your blade into the water as far as possible and have the water just lock it in and not move, and everything is moving beyond it. If you start to move water, you're wasting energy and speed that you could be using to move the boat forward. We're trying to move the boat forward, not move the water. So that is that. All right, so once again, holding the oar, your outside elbow is up, much higher than your inside elbow. You see that? It's not even like an erg. All right, your inside elbow is a little more down. And you will also notice how I'm leaning a little bit, and you can also try and lean your head. That'll help you think about what you're doing, and this will create better leverage, because if you think about it, it's not straight. You're going to be rotating this way, as this is an axle, so the oar is not going to move straight forward. So as you come up to the catch, you'll notice as it continues to go, your outside arm, again, my left arm in this case, is going to go between my legs. So as I get up to the catch, notice I am not in a symmetrical. Again, I'm leaning a little bit, inside elbow bent, and that will help us make sure that we're creating the most leverage on the end of the handle, which will create the most leverage. And again, just thinking about having your hand just a hook that's connecting your legs into the handle. All right, and you also notice my shoulders are not square, they're rotated around. And rowing in this type of scenario, you will not have a muscle imbalance. So in this case, again, my left lat will be stronger after rowing like this for a while. And again, everything I'm doing, we would do the exact same way for the other people. In the first little bit of our rowing, you'll be moving around, and the coaches will deal with that. But just imagine the exact same thing, again, leaning there, inside elbow bend, having the same thing. So there's 2 sides to the boat, so just like that. So once again, outside shoulder extended and fully extended, inside elbow slightly bent, and I'll get up close up with the little wooden dowel I have. But as you continue to drive, just like a rowing stroke, legs first, then back, and finally the arms. And you'll notice here that this oar can rotate. When it's perpendicular to the water, as you can see now, that's called on the square. When it's flat, it's on the feather. When we race, we will be rotating it like so, but I think for the first couple practices you guys will just be rowing on the square, so I'll keep it simple. But basically, you're at here, your hands are going to come down because now we have to deal with water. It's not just a complete laid plane. We got to enter the blade into the water and extract the blade to be able to take another stroke. So at the finish, you're going to have your hands go down a little bit. It's hard to imagine, but there will be water there. And as you come up, you're going to start to raise your arms to place the blade into the water, and then you'll begin to push. So that's about sort of the main keys. Just the main takeaways is remember that having that bit of lean, which will really help you as you continue to progress in rowing to create better leverage, and thinking about having your outside elbow, the elbow that is on the, or the arm that is on the opposite side of the oar, so this arm, being fully extended, going between the knees, and having the inside arm bent. And you're going to have most of your force going from the outside hand and really the outside of your body, because again, it's leverage and you're further away from the pivot point, so you're going to be creating more force from that area. So just like that at the catch, and then just like a regular stroke the rest of the way. Again, keeping the outside elbow bent, outside elbow up at the finish, the inside elbow a little lower. And as we learn how to feather, like I mentioned, you'll want to make sure that you're only rotating with your inside elbow. As you finish, you want to have your outside hand not moving. It should rotate in your outside hand, and your inside hand, in this case my right hand, again, opposite for other side, is the only one that will be rotating. But the coaches will go over that in more detail. So that's just a quick, just going over the different things. I'll just quickly show you a little more close up. So this is just a mock idea of what a handle would look like. Again, same thing. You notice my outside elbow, if the oar was going that way, similar to what we had just there, notice the outside elbow is much higher than there. And as you go up, it's gonna be like this. As you can see, from sort of top down, you notice this is bent because you wanna, if you do that, literally you won't, it'll just go out because it's like that. So you want to have this elbow bent, that locked out, or if you're a starboard in this case, the other way around, notice this elbow's